Greetings, everyone. My name is Abby. I was designed using artificial intelligence for the 6th edition of Lisbon Law and Tech. Welcome to our international online conference dedicated to debating the future of law and technology. This initiative is organized by the Knowledge Institute of Abreu Advogados. Today, we will be debating the foundations of a new economy: digital assets, digital euro, digital wallets. The session will be moderated by Diogo Pereira Duarte, partner and co-coordinator of the finance practice area at Abreu Advogados. Previously, he was a professor of civil and financial law at the University of Lisbon, and the general counsel and DPO of a well-known investment bank and its group of companies. Welcome, Diogo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this discussion on the foundations of a new economy, digital assets, digital euro, and digital wallets. As we gather here, it is important to acknowledge the dynamic landscape of the crypto economy. This dynamic has been characterized by both remarkable innovations but also significant challenges. In recent years, we have witnessed the onset of the so-called crypto winter and the failure of several high-profile projects, leading to uncertainty and skepticism among consumers and investors alike. These events serve a stark reminder of the volatility and the inherent risks of this emerging space, but amidst these challenges, we must also recognize the transformative potential of the underlying technology, the blockchain, or the distributed ledgers. Blockchain and digital assets offer unprecedented opportunities for transparency, security, and efficiency in financial transactions. They have the power to reshape traditional economic systems, enabling new forms of value exchange and fostering financial inclusion. Additionally, we stand now on the brink of a possible significant shift in our economic landscape with the possible introduction of the digital euro. This initiative of the European Union could have profound implications on the way we conduct transactions, manage our finances, and interact with digital assets. By providing a stable government-backed digital currency, the digital euro may enhance innovation in the way we make payments, streamline cross-border payments, and build new bridges between traditional finance and the crypto economy, ultimately benefiting the consumers and business alike. Finally, at the end of this year, 2024, the markets in crypto assets regulation will be applicable in all its sections within the space of the European Union, providing for a robust framework for future projects and investments in the area of crypto assets. However, several doubts still remain, for instance, on the transitional period, especially in relation to the articulation with the previous VASP regimes granted at the national level under the AML bespoke regimes of each jurisdiction. Today, we have an esteemed panel of experts who will help us to navigate the complexities and illuminate the path forward. I will pass now to make a very brief presentation of our speakers in this roundtable. We have the pleasure to have with us Keir Finlow-Bates, who is the author of a very well-known bestseller titled "Move Over Brokers, Here Comes the Blockchain," which I highly recommend to all of you that want to understand the technicalities and the conceptual functioning of the blockchain and distributed ledgers technology. Keir holds a master and a PhD in mathematics and has worked in software industry for nearly 3 decades, mainly in test automation. He researches on blockchain-related matters and mentors university students on the matter. We have also with us Fred Antunes, who is one of the key players of the crypto economy here in Portugal. He's founder of the Portuguese Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association, former CEO of Real Fever, which is a very well-known company who manages an NFT marketplace, and a university professor in postgraduate courses focused on Web3 and innovative technologies. We have the pleasure to have with us also João Vieira dos Santos, who is a legal advisor at the Portuguese Securities and Exchange Commission, the CMVM, and he researches on responsible and inclusive digital transition in the financial sector. Holds a PhD in law and is assistant professor at the Faculty of Law at the Lusófona University. Currently, João is member of the CMVM's Regulatory Policy and International Affairs Department. And finally, last but not least, we have Rui Serapicos, who advises on strategic thinking and planning in technology and innovation, and as co-founder and president of the Portuguese Blockchain Alliance, has advised several initiatives making use of the blockchain technology and optimizing efficiency and innovation in organizations. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Knowledge Institute of Abreu Advogados, I'd like to thank you for your presence here. And let's engage in a thoughtful dialogue about the foundations of this new economy and the role we all can play in shaping its future. Having said this, if you allow me, I would start with Keir Finlow-Bates, to whom I would like to ask about these failures I was speaking about in several high-profile projects. We have seen judicial cases and some arrests, and I would like to understand better what lessons should we learn from these failures, and how can these failures inform future development in the industry? What lessons have you, Keir, learned that you believe are critical for the success of new initiatives?
Right. Well, I mean, for starters, there have been a lot of failures. And sorry, there's an echo there. I don't know where that's coming from. But I think you can categorize them into a number of different sets. So the worst ones are the interface between crypto and the conventional financial system, so the exchanges. And the most recent one there, of course, is FTX going bust, and the fraud and corruption that was present in that organization. And there we should have already regulation and legislation in place to prevent it. These are not new things that these people were doing. So that's more a matter of, I think, legislators being aware of what is going on in the industry and actually keeping an eye on it. And when you look at FTX, they were very good at schmoozing up to relevant politicians, giving big donations and things like that, which is all kind of traditional in these kind of institutions committing fraud. And we just seem to fall for it again and again. The ones that I'm personally more interested in are the technical failures. So that's the security level, which is, again, it's endemic throughout the computer industry. We're seeing data breaches in conventional computing all the time through databases being leaked. In blockchain, a lot of the really, really expensive ones tend to happen in how blockchains interface with other blockchains. And then on the third point, there's the problem with things like market manipulation. And I think that is down to the fact that this is a new field. There's a lot of inexperience. People rush into it thinking that there's the opportunity to make a lot of money. And as has been the case throughout human history, when people allow greed to overtake them, it's much easier to exploit them. And the scammers know that. So there, I think it's more a matter of people actually being aware of what it is that they are getting into and properly researching what they are putting their money into, rather than just following the crowd. So in a sense, it's nothing new. It's standard human nature. It's just taking place in yet another field of human experience. And I think that it's really just a matter of time as we build systems to protect ourselves against these things. And these are systems that may be technical, may also be legal.
Thank you so much, Keir. In fact, I have read in a newsletter that you author as well, the blockchain Gandalf, that there are some projects more interested in paying influencers and paying large amounts in marketing than to assure that from the technical side the project is in order and without any mistakes. Is that
Right,
correct?
absolutely. I mean, actually, this is a problem you face when you're running a technical project, is you have a limited budget and you have to decide how much are you going to spend on marketing and how much are you going to spend on actually building a decent product. And of course, if you are competing with another project that is complete vaporware, but they are putting all their money into the marketing and you have the same budget, well, they will get more exposure. That's just how marketing works. So there's this sort of inverse incentive. In a way, it makes financial sense in the short term for projects to not deliver on security, to not deliver even on functionality, but to put the effort into marketing instead. And as somebody from technology, I find that very frustrating. But as an entrepreneur, I can also understand how we get driven down that path by the way that we've structured our how companies work, how startups work, and how influencers influence.
In relation to this security matter, what innovations do you think that are most promising in the blockchain field to enhance trust and security and consumer experience with digital assets?
Right. So the biggest problem that is faced with crypto and digital assets at the moment is inherent in the nature of the blockchain itself, which is that once you've spent your assets, you have no way of getting them back. Well, not easily anyway. It's a bit like cash in that respect, in that if you hand over cash to a guy on a marketplace for some goods and then you get home and find they're defective, you may go back to the marketplace and find that the vendor's gone. And blockchain is very much like that. If you send Bitcoin to an address, it goes to that address, and there isn't the opportunity to cancel the transaction in the way that you can in a conventional financial system. So I think what we're learning is that when you have enough end users using the system, they are going to make mistakes, and there need to be ways to fix that. They're going to be scammed, and there need to be ways to protect consumers against those scams. And I'm seeing all sorts of initiatives in trying to build guardrails and safety systems around how wallets and transactions work to protect the average user who, quite frankly, does not want to go and learn all about blockchain and does not want to become an expert in the field, understandably, to protect them against that. In the same way that in conventional banking, I mean, if I wire money over to the United States, I have no idea how it wings its way across there. I may complain about how long it takes and how expensive it is, but I haven't taken the time to understand how SWIFT works or how SEPA works or how a wire transfer works. The information may not even be available for all I know. And I just have to trust that it will work. And I think it's going to be the same as more people come on board the crypto economy, that most of them are not going to want to learn how it actually works. So we need to provide them with the user interfaces, the tools, and the back-end code to protect them from the mistakes they're inevitably going to make.
Thank you so much, Keir. Before I pass to Fred, I'd like to know as well, what is your thoughts about the Digital Euro project? Do you think it will be really important for the transition to a digital economy?
I think the digital euro is going to be incredibly important, but probably not for the reason that other panelists well, maybe they'll agree with me. My main concern about the digital euro is the lack of care about user privacy that I'm seeing, and the lack of involvement of the main stakeholder, as far as I'm concerned, which is the 340 million or so euro users like you and me. And I believe there's another 200 million users of currencies pegged to the euro. And I'm seeing the ECB involving wholesale and retail banks, corporations, other EU institutions. They're not engaging with ordinary people in the forums at all. There's not a single response to any concern that's been raised on, for example, LinkedIn's digital euro page. We see occasional statements from them that user privacy is going to be important, that the control that a digital euro would give over the ability of individual citizens to spend their money or not be able to spend their money is kind of brushed under the table with a legislation will make sure it's fine. We live in Europe. We should historically know that just because it's fine now doesn't mean it's going to be fine in 5 or 10 years' time. And then there is a second big technical problem, which is they talk about it working offline. And they are talking about it as though it's a trivial thing to do with the digital currency. People like David Chaum in cryptography have been working on this problem for 40 years, and nobody has solved it properly. Yet apparently the ECB has, they tell us, but they won't show us how. So in principle, I think the idea of a digital currency giving us convenience is very, very nice. I think the very, very serious political ramifications, especially for citizen privacy and citizen autonomy, are unfortunately being ignored, and I find that very concerning.
Thank you so much, Keir. I will now pass to Fred Antunes. Hi, Fred. Thank you for being here with us. As I know that you are a member of the contact group of the Bank of Portugal for the digital euro, I would start with this first matter. What is your opinion about the digital euro? And if you think that the digital euro will be important to build bridges between the crypto economy and the traditional finance?
So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you, and congratulate Abreu Advogados for this initiative. Well, before I answer to your question, Diogo, I would like to take 30 seconds to celebrate today. So we had a new all-time high in Bitcoin yesterday, and we all know that this industry exists because Bitcoin in the last 15 years did a marvelous and a magnificent job in terms both in technology and in the financial world. So it's a moment to celebrate. It's not a coincidence that we have this conference today. So I think it's very important to enlighten this.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you think that there is any link with the result of the US elections?
I think it's obvious. The link is a natural consequence of the Republican Party, who has been following the crypto economy in the last couple of years and supporting it. In the side of the Democrats, there were a lot of senators and a lot of very influential people who always put themselves against this industry. And with the Republicans now leading the way, of course, crypto economy is going to be favored by that. But it's important also to enlighten that if we take a look at the markets today, it's not only the crypto economy and the Bitcoin price who's leading the way. Almost in all the financial sector, everything is behaving really well. And it seems the investors are very, very happy with this result. So personally, in my point of view, I don't have a favorite. I'm a bit agnostic in terms of political decisions, especially in the United States of America. But of course, as someone who has been here in the last 12 years, almost since the beginning, I'm really, really happy with what we have been witnessing in the last couple of days.
Very well. And in relation to digital euro?
Regarding to digital euro, Well, we've been together in the work group, I think, for 3 years, multiple meetings, a few thousands of words in documents. And I would like to highlight these two things. The first one is, why are we talking about digital euro? And what is today the purpose of the digital euro? We have a digital euro because 5 to 6 years ago, regulators and governments, especially in Europe, they understood that they had to deploy something in the market to fight back the traditional crypto stablecoins like USDT, USDC, and many others. And they immediately identified one of the key issues that we have to solve out in the future, which is the bridge between fiat currencies, I mean, euro, dollar, or any other, and the crypto assets, I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other. And this bridge, this link, is really where the issue relies. Why? It's very simple. Because for the government perspective, the only way that they have to control the inflows and outflows of cash to the crypto economy is really controlling this bridge. In the other way, there is no possibility at all to control in any way the operation of Bitcoin framework or any other blockchain with a real decentralization implemented. With that said, in my point of view, digital euro was the immediate answer to, okay, we understood there is a stable coin running out of our control. Let's plan to give something to the market that we can control this bridge between fiat and crypto. However, the things changed a bit over time, and being part of the work group in Portugal, we immediately identified that even in the early stage of development of digital euro. Why? Because the idea of creating a solution to replace or to compete with the traditional crypto stablecoin, immediately the European Commission stepped away from that perspective, and they put themselves much more in a perspective where, okay, let's just digitalize euro and let's just create a traditional solution, which in fact, in the end, in my perspective, is no more than MBWay scaled at a European scale. In the end, for everyone to understand, digital euro will be no more than MBWay, a solution that we have in Portugal, scaled to all the European countries. However, there will be a lot of things that in the future can be implemented, and I have a lot of hope that after digital euro be deployed, the programmatic euro, the capacity to deploy smart contracts on top of it, the capacity to link it to the crypto economy, it is something that has been in the roadmap, but at this first approach, it's completely out of question. And I believe that in the next 5 to 6, 10, 20 years, the inception of digital euro will be flexible, will have evolution in the same way that Bitcoin 15 years ago had also a lot of evolution in terms of market. And European Commission is conservative by design. So I would be very, very, very surprised if something would be completely in the hedge of technology against their conservative point of view. So let's see, and just to finish, let's see how this is going to happen. It's important also to say that digital euro is not the only value proposition. United States, Norway, Japan, Australia, Brazil, a lot of other big economies are planning central bank digital currencies. And let's see how the pilots and how the inception will be, and take a look at it before we have the opportunity, to move on to this really necessity to find a solution where the bridge and the gap between crypto to fiat, fiat to crypto should have the interference of the regulator, in this case, European Commission or digital central bank, the European Central Bank.
Thank you, Fred, for your very, very insightful thoughts on this matter. I'd like to ask you more generally, from your position in the Portuguese Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Association, do you find any concerns or misconceptions that prevent a more broad acceptance of digital assets from the public? Are there opportunities to improve or to educate people in this field?
Well, first of all, I think in Portugal there is a long way in terms of digital knowledge and financial knowledge. I think in terms of the central government, there is a lot to do. And in general, the Portuguese citizens, they don't have a high level of literacy in terms of, the digital world and the financial world, which in fact is the natural consequence is one of the biggest issues in the crypto economy and in this space in Portugal are the frauds. Why? Because people always tend to believe in scammers and believe in people that will make them millionaires overnight. That is not going to happen. And unfortunately, one of the key activities of the association is to receive, I can say, dozens of emails per day of people just asking for help about how to recover the losses. And the majority of our answers is always, there is nothing we can do. You should contact, of course, the police. But in the end, I think even the police does not have the right tools, the right people, and the right knowledge to interfere in time to help these people. So I think in terms of corporate activities, we are very well. I think in terms of C-levels and directors of tech companies, I think after these 10 years, most of the people already has the knowledge about what is a technology, what is the market, somehow. But regarding to the regular Joe, there is a lot to do. And people expose themselves to risks without the knowledge. And as Keir was saying, of course, most of the people, they are not going to learn the right tools and the right way to operate, a digital wallet. So if I get back to the subject of this conference, even the install of a digital wallet, for example, for Bitcoin or for Ethereum, is somehow complicated for someone who is info excluded. And, the mechanism of storing in a paper a seed phrase, memorize that seed phrase and understand that if you lose your seed phrase, you lose your assets. It's something that demands education and demands by the end user, demands effort. And I think in the end, effort, it's something that each one of us should put in the game to understand the rules of this industry and try to protect each citizen as best as possible.
Thank you, Fred. I would now pass to João Vieira dos Santos and to a very important matter as well, the MiCA regulation. In the beginning, in the presentation, I forgot to mention, but João Vieira dos Santos is author of one of the most comprehensive commentaries on the MiCA regulation and editor as well. And in your position as advisor to the CMVM, and just to know, I believe that I know the answer, but are there any news on the implementation law for MiCA in Portugal? Do you have any news that you can share with us?
Hi, Diogo. First of all, thank you so much for the invite. Thank you and congrats to Abreu Advogados for organizing this event. And unfortunately, my answer is that there are any news. There is no law implementing MiCA, so we still waiting for the Portuguese legislator to publish it. but CMVM is expecting to be one of the competent authorities under MiCA. So we are preparing everything for the supervision of the diploma, taking in account
some
all the
insights
different scenarios.
on the way CMVM is preparing the supervision of CASPs?
Yes, also token issuances. To give a little more detail about the about our preparations, about CMVM preparations, CMVM created a task force for this matter, for MiCA supervision, for the preparation of MiCA supervision. So we already published a consultation to the market to know who is thinking in develop MiCA activities in Portugal. So we received interest from 60 entities that want to be CASPs in Portugal. We are in issuing tokens. There are also kind of 10 or 12 entities interested, but of course it's more difficult to know about issuance of tokens. They are more episodic, so it's difficult to know to estimate how many we are going to have in Portugal. But about CASPs, yeah, most of the entities we received are interested in custody and reception and transmission of orders. So one of our worries and one of our conclusions is that we are going to be maybe a little hub for intermediation related to crypto assets. So we don't expect to receive any trading platforms. So the concern that already was shared from ISMA already published an opinion about their concern of some crypto global agents adopting a broker model in which they most of their activities and mainly their trading platform is located outside the European Union, and they have a broker connecting it to a broker in the EU connecting it to the trading platform. So the same can happen in Portugal. So even the trading platforms that are located in the EU, they are not going to be in Portugal. So mostly we are going to have brokers that connect with those trading platforms. So it's going to be more challenging for us to have a real supervision of the risks of the crypto assets markets and of MiCA, because the risks appears to every jurisdictions independently of the location of the trading platform. So any, of course, you know, everyone knows that any client can go to a platform, to a trading platform, even if it is situated outside the EU or in any member state, and the risks are there for any jurisdictions, and we will need for this a lot of cooperation. So that's one of the points that we are also doing in our task force, is to talk with all national competent authorities, cooperate with them, and that's going to be a very important task to make to cooperate with them, and it's been very insightful to do that. There are a lot of perspectives, and it's in enrichment for our preparation. We also are preparing for the supervision models, and and adapting all the supervisions models of CMVM to these new realities. So it's been very challenging, and we're having a lot of work, but we hope to be prepared for all the scenarios when MiCA enters into application.
Thank you, João. And what is your overall impression on the MiCA regulation? Do you think MiCA is appropriate to tackle the problems that we have discussed before, the scams, to protect consumers, and also to foster innovation? Is it a balanced regime? What do you think?
Of course, it's a huge step from what we had before. So it's going to be challenging for all of us, for the market and for the regulators. Of course, there are some critics of MiCA not being sufficient, but I think it's also unfair to try to cover everything and unfair in relation to the effort that regulators and the market agents have to adapt to this new regulation. It's a huge effort, and it's already I think, from my opinion, a sufficient regulation to handle the risks that were mainly identified by the European Commission, by the legislator of the European Union. It's also not clear what are the borders, what is in the scope of MiCA. So there is no clarity of MiCA is sufficient or not in terms of activities. We still don't know what part of DeFi is not going to be covered. We don't know which part is going to be in MiFID and MiCA. There's still not a lot to be discussed and a lot to be decided when MiCA enters into application. So we will only know for sure if there is loopholes when we apply MiCA. There is also this problem of having many market agents in other markets, in other regions like Asia or in the US. So that is also going to be a huge challenge to the EU. But MiCA it's also helpful to get knowledge for regulators, for all the people that work and are going to be working with this regulation, like lawyers, because I think in Europe, to adapt to MiCA, a lot of work is being done, and a lot of knowledge is being created about these markets. So that's also a new step for Europe, and also it can enhance a change in the international environment to regulate crypto assets, and so it's important also to have that in mind, taking into account that any regulation to have a real effect, it will have to be global.
Thank you, João. I would recommend to anyone that wants to know more about MiCA, including the gray areas or the not regulated areas, to consult your very, very interesting book on the MiCA regulation. And having said this, I will pass now to Rui Serapicos. Rui, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Of course, if you want to jump in and to discuss any matter that we have discussed in this round table, feel free to do so.
I was raising my hand, yes.
But I'd like to start asking you, as president of the Portuguese Blockchain Alliance, what role do you see for collaborative strategies between traditional financial institutions and blockchain startups in shaping the way forward, the future of this digital economy?
Well,
Are
first
there
and
room for
foremost,
collaboration?
of course, yes. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Abreu Advogados. Thank you, Diogo, for the invitation, and and also greet all the speakers. And even before going to this great question, I'd like to to add a couple of comments on the previous question, especially the very first one, which is a great question, which is about what did we learn from failures of blockchain, of the blockchain industry, blockchain and crypto industry. So my experience from failures were, please focus on value versus speculation. Focus on stronger due diligence and risk mitigation frameworks that really protect investors and the common consumer, and really focus on community-driven models. And with the focus on the value over speculation, the true projects will come in. And I do believe that we can also have a maverick lens to it, which is we should always embrace failure as a growth mechanism. But in the end, there has to be a shift of narrative in terms of how we perceive blockchain projects. So I really think it's really important. This question should be a debate about this, should be a full debate, and I invite all the speakers to engage on this one, because it's quite a relevant one. The other points that or the other questions that were asked on also on the innovations, I think there's a lot of innovation going on, a lot of activities that startups and even some players that are working together, not just on zero knowledge proofs, but also on ways to protect blockchains or DLTs, in order to avoid not just the governance model, but also the technology behind blockchain. So I think this is a really important issue. And my other 50 cents for the question to Fred Antunes, which is, for me, CBDCs and blockchains are a contradiction of terms. Who said that this is decentralized? Who said that these are decentralized? So whenever this question arises, I usually ask, well, this is these terms really don't match up. But back to your question, which is how do you see these different collaborations between traditional institutions, and obviously I can see a lot of again with two lenses, a lot of collaboration between startups and traditional financial institutions. The potential is already seen throughout some projects, but tokenization of traditional assets, not just real estate or bonds or equities, also cross-border payments, and again taking what I would call the contrarian or the maverick lens. Organizations and larger organizations may benefit a lot from building co-opetition hubs. In other words, compete with in certain areas, but collaborate on others. So this would fast track innovation. This would also be much more customer centric, or let's call it community member centric. And also accelerate radical experimentation. So I do see a lot of innovation going on. We've been involved with some players that are just playing with those concepts. So it's one of the areas that we see as a future trend as well.
And in fact, in terms of regulation, we have seen in recent years the appearance of regulation specifically dedicated to cover such collaboration strategies, like the EBA guidelines on outsourcing, and more recently the DORA regulation, which has a very important area covering third-party risk and IT risk, and so traditional financial institutions can be assured that all risks that arise from these types of strategies will be also covered by regulation and supervised. But thank you so much for your thoughts on this. I'd like to ask you more specifically if you see any trends, or if you foresee any trends that will in recent years foster public adoption and institutional investment in crypto assets and crypto asset related projects.
Yeah, this goes back to the question of that was asked to Fred as well, about adoption and about how do we accelerate adoption and how do we accelerate well thought out adoption, and that we protect consumers. So I think and we're trying to run a kind of a myth busting campaign, just for people to get a little bit of get around the hype and get around the preconceptions or the misconceptions of blockchain. But on the adoption, obviously, and on the innovations as well, what we're seeing is, and I think João has been quite involved on this in DAOs and decentralized autonomous organizations, and obviously institutional DeFi's, and we're also involved in Web3 integration with IoT, or in this case supply chain management traceability, that covers end-to-end transactions for entities that really want to provide value to the consumer, or in this case to the patient, but as well some more, again, using the contrarian or the maverick lenses, some trends in quantum cryptography, fusion of blockchain and quantum, and also now more on the DAO, or more on the community-based, community-governed approach, what somebody would call post-nation state economies. So what we're seeing is that you can create community. The technology allows you to create communities that define rules of engagement, rules of voting, rules of distributing power and value and currency, and those are game changers. Those are serious game changers, and those are the areas that really excite us. I don't know if this was the answer that you wanted, but that's what you got.
Thank you so much, Rui. Very well. Thank you so much, you all, for this very interesting discussion. I'd like to ask you if you have any final remarks, any other point that you want to discuss.
Definitely, Diogo, I do.
Go ahead.
And I tell you why. Here is the first time that I am with him, but with João and Rui, we've been together almost for a long journey already. And I had professionally the privilege to be in the both sides of the coin. So in one hand, deep into crypto anonymity activities, and in the other side, in the regulatory work groups. And all I can tell regarding to regulation are two things. First, Europe from January 1st of 2025 is going to become the most sophisticated regulatory landscape on planet Earth, for the good and for the bad. For the good, because the opportunity, the business opportunity is huge. There is clarity, there is knowledge, and the foundation pillars will be there for you to grow a business. In the other hand, it will not be attractive for deep crypto activities, not the speculative ones, but also the innovative ones. So if I ask you if the meme coin industry is innovative or it's just speculative, for me, it's not a crystal clear answer, one or the other, because we all understand that speculation exists, but also sometimes speculation fuels innovation as a natural consequence. And that is nice, is good for the market. In the other hand, I think the crypto industry will evolve exactly as the beginning of this conference. The challenge for the regulation will be artificial intelligence figures and artificial intelligence individuals creating crypto products that in fact in the end regulators will not be able to chase them because they do not exist, materially speaking. And the most important thing for a regulator is always to identify the issuer or the founder of the company or who are the people behind a specific project, because you can't manage risk and you can't manage accountability without knowing the real name of each individual. But if you take a look, there are billions of dollars circulating nowadays, and this is going to increase dramatically in the next couple of years. Will be non-real people, NPCs, what we call it in the gaming industry. There will be NPCs creating companies, NPCs creating businesses, and selling their products and digital goods, not only in the crypto space using blockchain technology or not, using cloud units to produce the digital goods. And in terms of protection to the consumer, there will be a moment where humans are buying goods that they recognize value to artificial intelligence individuals. And who is going to be accountable for that specific artificial intelligence individual will be the challenge for the next 10 years, where I believe there will be thousands of conferences trying to solve this out. And the only solution will be to invite an NPC to speak with us and explain us what is he planning and what should be the regulatory framework to that issue.
Thank you, Fred. In fact, very interesting and very demanding for the regulators, for sure. Keir, do you want to add something on this discussion?
Yeah, there's a few things actually. So it was interesting to hear, I think it was Fred, commenting how the initial idea behind the digital euro was as to avoid a euro stablecoin, to have a centrally controlled euro stablecoin. And you can see that because they've leapt on all the control aspects of a smart contract and disregarded all the decentralized stuff, as Rui pointed out. It's not blockchain. It's using a similar interface. I had fun adopting some code that the Norwegian central bank put out a while back, doing exactly that. However, what is the current reason then? Because this is one of the things I'm finding on digital euro. If you ask them, why are we spending, what are we at now, 1.2 billion euros spent on the digital euro? Why are we spending that? What is the purpose of this, right? You do not get an answer. I mean, I see Christine wearing a lot of very fancy scarves and telling us how it is going to be for all Europeans, but to me, it looks like a bridge being built out into the middle of the North Sea without kind of an end destination in sight. And that combined with the idea of the money in my wallet being able to be geographically limited or limited to particular products, or for it to magically evaporate if I don't spend it in time, or for it to be arbitrarily locked down because they've decided that I'm not to be financially included anymore, even if they promise me that there are laws today. That I find very concerning. So do you know what the current reason, Fred, is for the digital euro, given that the old one is now out the window and not talked about?
I'm not going to give, a direct answer because I have a lot of friends in there, and I believe they are giving their best.
It's the same again. I'm a citizen.
But
well, I'm not a citizen. I'm legally resident under the
a
Brexit agreement in
non-political
Europe.
answer.
I use the euro every day. Here we are. I've got 4 in my hand, and nobody seems to be able to tell me why we are spending billions. I think it's going to be 7 billion by the end on the digital euro.
They don't even know that also.
Right. So, and my second thing is actually for João. Do I pronounce that correctly? João, is that right?
João, yes.
Yes,
João,
close
okay.
enough. Yeah.
It's close enough. Good, because it looks, for an English person, it's got a lot of vowels in that name and a little twiddly thing.
Yes.
So I'm a blockchain entrepreneur living in Finland. I have read Micah 5 times now. It's 10,000 words longer than Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So it's, it's quite a document. As far as I can tell, it just does 2 things: define EMTs and define ARTs, so electric money tokens and asset referencing tokens. I had a project idea where I had a token that you deposit either USDC or USDT in it. So those are stable coins, and it mints you a USDK, a Keir. And I talked to 6 lawyers I know on LinkedIn, asking them, "You've read Micah, is this an EMT or is it an ART?" And I got 3 different answers. And in fact, the most valid answer was, you won't know until it goes in front of a court and a judge tells you. And this is what I find as an entrepreneur, reading Micah and going to lawyers, I can't get a clear answer. And as a result, despite the fact that I've got 16 blockchain patents, I've been working in blockchain part-time since 2010, full-time since 2015. There is no way I would release a token through a European company at all. Looking at that, it's just like, forget it. I could set up a company in another country outside of the EU to do that, or just drop the idea entirely, or I can do it anonymously. But what I would never do, looking at Micah and looking at the costs involved and looking at the lack of clarity, and the costs in terms of getting legal advice that is not clear, from my perspective as an entrepreneur in the blockchain space, Europe is not the place to be that. Do it in the US, do it in Hong Kong, do it in Dubai, do it in the UK, but for God's sake, don't do it in Finland, right? And that's what I'm not a lawyer, but I've read the document. That's what I take away from it. I mean, isn't that concerning to
I
the
get you.
regulators? Or is it just...
Yeah, no, I'm lucky because it's not a matter probably that is not is not likely to go to the CMVM, that is the Securities Market Regulator. It's more of a banking issue, so probably it's going to the Bank of Portugal. But from my memoir of Mika and how it was constructed, the ART category is a mystery, is an enigma.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I couldn't even get
was
to
created.
define... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it was created because of Libra of Facebook. Yeah,
and then DM, yeah.
So it was just
so 96,000 words, and maybe half of them are because Facebook once said we're going to release Libra.
Exactly.
And doesn't that just sound ridiculous to you?
But
I mean,
what you said is not far from what I see the legislator and most of I cannot speak of the bank regulator, but most bank
Okay.
regulators
Right.
also don't want you to issue an ART.
Well, this
So
is it.
yeah,
They don't want you to issue these things, right? I mean, that's the message I take away as somebody who's interested in the business of tokens, is that
it's very limited what you can do with an ART. They are limited in quantities that
the
are
transaction
ridiculous.
levels are just,
Yeah, yeah,
basically they're saying, if you become successful, we will kill you.
yeah, of
Right.
course.
I mean,
So
and then we get
you
Mario
can use
Draghi
it
standing up
in
and saying, "Why
your
is Europe not innovative anymore? Where is the innovation in Europe?" And the answer is, you're passing laws that say if you have more than 200 million euros in transactions in a
well, there
quarter,
are other
cut
things
off.
that you can issue and can create, but in these specific topics, we are talking about market or money sovereignty and financial stability. They don't.
Well, yeah.
It's a
And I have
topic
other
that,
issues that I,
yeah, that doesn't want to ponder with market development,
but
innovation.
if we don't do it in
Yeah,
Europe, somebody is going to do it outside of Europe, right? I mean, as I said, there's 200 million users of currencies pegged to the euro. There's
yeah,
nothing
of course.
stopping one of those countries to, you know, or people in those countries who are not falling under EU legislation to. We're basically saying the rest of the world, you can go do it. I mean, we can end up with an EMT linked to the euro that's issued in the United States. I mean,
Yeah, but
which to me,
for instance, if you have another situation of Libra from Facebook, from other companies, if, Amazon or any other the big company, they can issue in any other region of the world, and Europe has a paper that says no, not here.
right?
And
Yes, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
and
and
so a
here's another
wall.
one. I could not get anybody to explain to me what referencing a national or sovereign currency meant, because or whether it was transitive, right? Because I can say, okay, I'm going to release a token, and I'm putting a euro in a jar for every one of my tokens I release. That's clear that my token is backed by a euro,
Yeah,
whatever that means. But however, what if I reference and if I reference dollar, if I put dollars in the jar, then that's an EMT. But what if I reference another stable coin that references the dollar? Is our EMTs transitive? Is what we would say in mathematics. Is if I release a coin that references USDT that references the US dollar,
yeah, that's
does
the
that mean that
question
my
of
token falls under
yeah,
EMT or ART?
of
Is
rapid
it
tokens in general. It's also a question of a rapid token that follows
right?
BTC, if it's an art or not.
Right, and so this is the thing that I find is that here's this kind of the EU is going to be the best and brightest regulated district in the world come January 1st.
At least we are advancing with something, and yeah, we are going to
Mhm.
receive a lot of questions, but at
Yeah,
least we are
well,
thinking about this stuff.
from
And
we're thinking about it, but from my perspective, it's like when they had that law that because when cars first came out, there was a law passed
mhm,
that said that a man with a red flag had to walk in front of the car,
yeah,
so that everybody knew a car was coming and everyone would be safe. And we now laugh at that. I mean, can you imagine what the world would be like if every car had to have a person walking in front of it with a red flag?
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
worry is that the EU's attitude towards all this stuff is basically passing
No,
more
but
man with a red flag
as
legislation.
as you saw in that case, regulation improved by a long time. So yeah,
It did, but in
it
the
it
meantime,
needs to start somewhere.
it does. Maybe we're being a bit quick about it, and maybe we haven't talked to the right people.
And also, and I don't know if I'm running away from the topic, but it was also because of this Facebook Libra and the
Mhm.
reaction being from Mika. It was also interesting to hear the today's public hearing of Maria Luisa Albuquerque, because crypto and DeFi and all these trends were not a topic. So
Mhm.
they
Okay.
are not in the political radar. So only when these kind of things, these market events happens, like Facebook Libra, there is an urgency, a political urgency to solve these
Right.
topics. So we
But
can
Facebook
theorize a lot of
squashed
things about
Libra.
regulation. But yeah,
Okay, but didn't Facebook squash Libra 4 years ago, 3 years ago? When was it? I can't remember.
no,
It was
Mika
Libra, then it was TM, then it became Aptos.
was
And
published. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was published in 2019. So Mika
right,
was. Yeah, proposal was published in 2020. So it was
right,
an
okay, and
immediate
then it's being
reaction.
passed in 25, and it becomes effective in 25. But I mean,
Yeah.
Facebook ditched Libra, I think 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So we got legislation that's going to be 6 years from 6 years from the cause, 5 years from the start to the reaction, and it's already 2 years out of date.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our
All right.
legislative process. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's
normally
very easy
happens.
for me to sit on the sidelines and jeer and make dismissive
Understand.
noises, but it so I apologize. I know that you're all working
No.
hard on this stuff, these people, but it does look a bit weird from outside.
Yeah, I get you.
Sorry, that's me done. I think I've had more than the fair mic share.
From me too. Okay, thank you.
Very well. Any final thoughts? No? So I'd like to thank you once again for your presence here. I think it was a very, very interesting discussion on the matter. And on behalf of Abreu Advogados and the Knowledge Institute of Abreu Advogados, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That is all for today. As we close today's session, I'd like to offer a special thanks to our speakers for their valuable insights and for being with us. We would love to have your feedback. Please fill out a short survey using the QR code shown on the screen. Join us tomorrow for a discussion of the impact of legal tech and digital transformation of in-house teams.